even the escape
From there, yes.
it was called the Great Escape, right?
Yeah.
It was featured on the front page of the Time magazine.
Yeah.
It took for His Holiness around 14 days to cross from Lhasa all the way to the border of Arunachal Pradesh. That was a very painful story because His Holiness was 23 years old when finally he decided to flee because,
Yeah.
Chinese were bombing and killing hundreds and thousands of people in eastern part of Tibet. That's Amdo and Kham area, where my father's birthplace and another province where His Holiness Dalai Lama was born. So it's very painful. So His Holiness, he personally told me, it's also written in his autobiography. On the final day, he, goes round his room 3 times, praying that I will come back to his residence. And then, he disguises himself as a lay person and then escapes through because there are thousands of people protesting and guarding him, telling him, you should not go to the Chinese camp. Chinese military camp was inviting him for sure. And then he disguises himself, rides on a horse, and goes through where thousands of Tibetans were, and then escapes through. Finally, when he climbs a hill, the person who was, taking the horse of His Holiness tells His Holiness that this is the last spot from where you can see Lhasa, the capital city of Tibet, and your residence. And he gets off the horse and looks at his residence and the Lhasa capital city, and then prays that he come back. And then, then he will be met by 2 of the Shishuganduk guerrillas who were there to escort him. And immediately he asked them, what are your names? One said, Tempa Tharke. In Tibetan means the Dharma will spread. Right? And what about others are Kunga something. Kunga means, treasure. And then you say, wow, so, it's good that 2 people I'm meeting. Of course, he is escorted by his own entourage, but now 2 guerrillas were coming there. One is the Dharma will spread. That's a good sign. And then Temba Thage, so we won't be, bad as far as money is also concerned. And then, he rides the horse and treks over 13 days. And in between, he has, it is a very difficult journey, right? Riding on a horse. And then at one time, it's so difficult that he had to get zo, which is a mixture of yak and a cow, because they walk very smoothly up the hill down. So, and then His Holiness, as he comes to the border, and then, he told me, he felt some sense of relief.
This is border between Tibet and India.
At that time.
Yeah.
So, on the one hand, right, you are a leader of Tibet, and then you're escaping. And then, in few times, actually, Chinese fighter planes, circulate around,
By this time, has the word got around that he's no longer in Lhasa?
Yes.
It has
After a few days, because, he left on the midnight of March 17th, and he reaches Bumla, Tawang area, on March 31st. And then he says, as he sees the Indian, they were not prepared also, because another interesting part is that His Holiness was escorted by 2 CIA-trained guerrillas who were equipped in sending messages. It's more like telegraph, but not advanced, all the way to Washington, D.C. So Great Escape, everybody, was wondering, where is Dalai Lama? The rumor is that he's no more. Because then the Chinese have started bombarding even his residence. So fortunately, he escaped. And then President Eisenhower, being from a military background, who had participated in World War, especially in Pacific, region, so he was very interested. So every morning, he used to say, where is Dalai Lama today? So he had this map, and he used to put a pin, right? So I think 4 or 5 days prior, Eisenhower called Prime Minister Nehru and said, His Holiness Dalai Lama is coming to India. Because they were also speculation whether he will go to Burma, which
Yeah.
happens to a Buddhist country, or even Bhutan,
Yeah.
or Sikkim, or Thailand. But then His Holiness did divination, and they all decided to come to India, in the land, or holy land of India.
Click here to watch the full episode.